What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Casey and Michelle, and we are discussing episode 3 of Tales of the Walking Dead. This one is the episode titled Dee, aka Alpha, for those of us who are fans of the original series. This episode, right off the bat, it takes place about a little bit after the events that we have seen from Alpha's past when she killed her husband in an effort to save her daughter from, people making stupid decisions, which, happens. But this episode confused me at the beginning. I was like, who is this? They're in the bed. You got this couple, they're in the bed, they're talking about the guy's talking about, yeah, we could leave here, go somewhere else, get married, have kids. And she's putting on a dress to go to like this party. And I was like, oh, this must be before the zombie apocalypse. Then we see that they're on a boat and it's like smack dab in the middle. Like, I was so confused.
I was too.
You're on this is obviously like one of those show boats or like a dinner cruise boat type thing. They're having a party and she, is in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. You got lights on the boat. You're dressed up in all your little nice outfits. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on with this? This was an interesting start.
They had me confused because I was like, okay, so is this lady is Dee? Because I was so confused. I was like,
that's what I thought too.
Especially when Lydia came out to show her dress.
Right.
Until she said Brooke. And then I was like, wait, what's going on?
Right.
And since I'm not caught up, it totally confused me because the talker, she was like, this is how I died. And then you show this other woman in bed. I'm thinking, that's not the same woman. I swear that's not the woman from that movie. I can't even think of the movie right now with Tom Cruise. This ain't the same, but Minority Report. I was like, I'm confused. But I'm just going to keep watching. It's going to come together at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was definitely confused in it because I was just like, I thought this was Alpha's story, but okay, we'll go with Dee. Okay.
Right. So the episode is basically, it's kind of like it's showing us a little bit of Alpha's past. Like, as she says at the beginning, this is how I died. So basically she's talking about how I guess the humanity version of her, or the person who was, who she was before she became Alpha. These are the events leading up to her basically becoming a whisperer. We don't know that really until the end when the whisperers show up, and it's like, oh, this is the Alpha origin story, if you will, Right. But
so technically Dee died and Alpha was born.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting hearing that voiceover over the story, because it's like the voiceover doesn't really match the story. So in a way, it confused me a little bit, especially. So you see this scene on the boat, like I said, they're having this party. Brooke is the person who apparently is in charge of all of this, and she's sitting out in the front of the boat and she's turning on the lights, and then Lydia comes out with this little pretty little dress, and Dee, Alpha, comes out and she's got on this, kind of like an evening gown, strapless. She looks very out of place. Like, she looks like she's really uncomfortable and doesn't want to be there, but she's trying to do this for Lydia. And it's also very obvious from the beginning that things are not good with her and Lydia. Again, I'm not sure exactly how long it's been since the events with her husband happened. We know that they've been on this boat for a year, because Brooke makes mention of that. It's been a year. We've given you a year to, come to terms or to try to, whatever the case is. So it's been at least a year since all of that happened. Michelle, since you're not familiar with Alpha's story, from the main show. I'm not going to spoil it completely, but I mean, you kind of get it after this episode anyway, because she talks about it. She talks about going crazy in the basement. She didn't mean to kill Frank, Lydia's dad. So basically what happens is the episode that we saw, they were hiding out in a basement with some other people trying to avoid, the zombies until they could figure out what was going on. Again, this is like right at the beginning. And what happened is she was there with her husband, and they kind of had two different ideas of what they needed to do. Now, the way that the episode played is kind of like Lydia was telling one of the other characters her memories of the incident. And then you also see it with Alpha's version of it. So it's kind of like two different versions of the same event, where one version painted mom as the bad person, and then the other version painted the dad as the bad person. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of confusing in that sense, because you don't ever really realize what the real deal is until the end. But basically what it was is that Frank wanted to take Lydia and try to go to, I'm not sure if they were trying to go to the CDC, but they were trying to go to to like a temporary shelter or something like that. And Dee didn't want to go. So they got into an argument. And then what happened was, one of the guys who was there, I can't remember if he got attacked, I think he was sick and he died and he turned.
Yeah.
So he started, of course, munching on the people in the basement. Frank decides he wants to take Lydia and run for it. And Dee was basically like, "You're not taking my child nowhere." And she kills him. So this is like the aftermath of that, because I think Lydia, I can't remember if she actually saw what happened or if she was just aware of what happened.
I think she's just aware.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't gone back to watch that episode for a while, but she knows basically that her dad is not there and her mom has something to do with it. I don't think at her age now she kind of grasps that her father is dead, because she does ask about him in this episode where she's like, "Where's my dad?" So she's still at that young age. And then you'll meet Lydia later on, because I think you're in what, season 7 right now, or you're in season 8?
Maybe 7.
Okay.
I'm like, I remember the episode when they show, like, right at the end clip, one of the whisperers.
Okay. So you'll be meeting Lydia and Alpha momentarily. But so like I said, in this episode, right from the beginning, we see that there's some tension between Lydia and her mother. Like, Lydia, she still wants to be a kid. She wants to go to this garden party that they're having, or, this little party that they're having with her dress. And, Brooke, kind of sort of, you can tell she's not really comfortable with Dee, or maybe it's just the other way around. Dee is not really comfortable with other people. She kind of looks around like she's always suspicious of people. And Brooke I will say that she tries to not necessarily be nice to Dee, but she's civil to her in this episode for the most part. And it's kind of obvious that Lydia is drawn to Brooke, because Brooke is the one, she's having fun. She's giving Lydia nice dresses. She's talking about, "Next time I go shopping, I'll take you with me." And I was like, wait, who doing some shopping?
Right. It's time to go shopping again. I'm thinking, where are you going? The local Target?
I was so confused. That's why, especially that beginning when she was talking about, "Oh, it's time to go shopping again." I said, this has to be before.
Right.
And then she walks out on the boat and she sees I couldn't even tell what it was in the water. I don't know.
It looked like I kept looking at it. I rewound it. It looked like a dismember. It looked like it was an arm floating.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It was like something like dismembered.
I couldn't tell because some of it looked like plastic.
I figured it was something that probably got eaten by an alligator, because it was in the swamp, and alligators don't necessarily always eat all the pieces.
Right.
So to me, it just looked like it was remnants floating, because I rewound that part too. Like, what is that?
I was trying to figure, I was like, is that a bag? And then, later on in the episode, we see them clearing a net because they've gone, they've gotten fish or whatever. So I was like, was that the net, and was something caught in the net? Or I was so confused because it was so dark that you didn't have a really clear picture. And then I was like, okay, are they doing that on purpose? Like giving us something to kind of be like, okay, well, we're not sure what that is, messing with our minds a little bit. I don't know. But it was interesting because, like I said, they're having these little discussions, and Dee is obviously very uncomfortable. So they go into the party and like they in there playing music.
No, hold on.
Like,
Wait a minute. Before you go in there, the funniest thing in this whole thing, because she had that dress on with that suit jacket. And so Brent said, would you be more comfortable in the suit? She said,
I was like, why would that be? Why would I wear a suit?
Because she was like, girl, you talking about somebody cracking up. She's like, why would I want to wear a damn suit?
It was so interesting just watching this episode because Alpha is like, we're so used to her being kind of this cold person that we've seen as the leader of the Whisperers. And so to see her kind of, rewound when she still had a little bit of her humanity, because you see in this episode, she clearly loves her daughter. Mm-hmm. And she's clearly trying to protect her daughter. And the crazy thing is, all of the stuff that she's saying to people, even though it's coming off as paranoia, she's right. Yes. The entire episode. Mm-hmm. She's telling them about the things that's going on, and she's right. But they go into
quick question. Mm-hmm. So that means she's worse than this later on?
What?
Oh, okay. All right, because she ain't great now, but
I won't say nothing. My what should be enough.
Woo!
Okay. Yeah. You.
Girl, hurry up and watch.
Okay, I'm like,
we will have this conversation again.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have this conversation again
after you watch it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After you get to that season.
Yes. Once you get acclimated with Miss Alpha or Alpha, we'll have this conversation again because your question understatement. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
all right. Yep. So Lydia is with Brooke. She's having a good time. Dee goes to the bar. There's an old gentleman sitting at the bar getting drunk as a skunk. And I guess, if you're going to get drunk, that's probably the safest place to do it, or it's supposed to be the safest place to do it. You are away from land. We already know the walkers can't swim. Even, we know this, but, back then they probably figured it out too, which is why they're kind of where they are. That's probably the best place to get drunk.
It is, but this been for Dee has been a year, and if they've been drinking like this, so are they going to the local ABC store or something?
Well, apparently
they go shopping.
Yeah, apparently they're still doing supply runs, and that's probably what she means when she says "quote unquote" shopping, because she says something later on in the episode when they're when the old drunk guy comes up missing. And they want to take the dinghy out to look for him. And she's like, no, we're low on gas. And what did she say? The next depot is 40 clicks away. We have to preserve what we have. Mm-hmm. So apparently they're staying on the water, and they may be hitting, different piers or different ports and getting supplies from there and doing supply runs. I mean, the way that life is on that boat, you saw them doing a little exercises. So they're keeping in shape. They're keeping up their endurance. So maybe, I won't say that what she was doing was a bad thing, but I just think it kind of made them ill prepared for what happened.
Yes, very much
but
so.
I do think that, but I do think that they probably did have places that they could go, especially if they're on the water. They're probably hitting places that other people aren't because everybody else is on foot.
Okay. All right, so don't run out of vodka then. Okay.
I mean,
Brown Royal Peach.
no, that they, you know what? They weren't blessed to have Crown Royal Peach because this zombie apocalypse took place in 2010. They didn't even have Crown Royal Peach.
None of the flavors.
They get none of that. But
they get regular.
Right. But I mean, think about it. Even in the main show, when they went, you remember the episode where we found out that Bob was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
They went to a surplus store that had plenty of alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
So alcohol is probably around because people aren't thinking about, oh, let's get drunk. You're too busy trying to avoid walkers and getting bit. You can't really do that if you're drunk as a skunk.
That part.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, even when Daryl and Beth got separated from everybody after the prison, when they went to that, I think it was a funeral home that they hold up in, there was alcohol in there too. So, yeah. So I guess alcohol is probably, very available in the zombie apocalypse, or at least a year into it. Again, if Dee went to this boat, or if she found these people, let's say a few weeks, a few months after what happened with Frank, this is still the very start of the apocalypse. This probably takes place right around the same time as the whole Evie Joe story, right around that time. So that's probably still, probably still available. But yeah, so he's there drunk. She goes to the bar, and the bartender immediately gave me creepy vibes. Like there was something about him that just was not right. And then, okay, so we know in the real world, bartenders are like the they are the unintentional therapists. They're the ones that you pour out all your sorrows to, and they give you advice. This dude was giving some very unsolicited advice that nobody asked him for
at all.
He was rude. What did he say? He was like, not to be funny, but you look like shit. Damn, did you?
Right. I said,
what did he expect her to come to this party like all glammed up and well, apparently he did, because the other people were. But she was like, I'm just here for Lydia. He was like, then why is she sitting over there? She was like, look, she want to be part of all this.
I
just want to come over here drink. Right. I just want to come over here for a drink. That dude, there was something sketchy about him. And then when he, they kind of went back and forth, because what was it that she told him, you haven't earned the right to say that. When he was talking about, he was like, I see people like you here all the time. He said, and you act like you don't want to be here. You're not putting forth the effort. He was like, Brooke is doing everything she can to make this a pleasant experience. And if you don't want to be here, just leave. And I get it, but you ain't have to be so damn rude about it.
And he don't have the concept of in his mind that everybody else, but again, this is still early. The people are your resource.
Mm-hmm.
He don't have that in his head yet. That no matter how, because no matter how she looked, she was a janitor or whatever she was, because she was cleaning up. Everybody has a role to play. She came to the party looking bummy or whatever else. She still has a role to play on that ship.
Yeah, but I think, and I kind of sort of get his message, because basically he's like, look, the whole world is to shit right now. Here is somebody who was trying to keep a semblance of normalcy for everyone. You don't have to be like all the way happy, but at least show that you appreciate it. And I get that. Don't sit here and be a Debbie Downer when everyone else is trying to enjoy being alive. Because really, that's what it is. Y'all having a celebration, and to us, it looks stupid because we know what's going on, because we're looking at it from the outside in. But them being there, they're probably just like, hey, we're celebrating being alive. We are safe right now. We have people, guarding, and it's okay. So I get what he's saying, but it was the manner in which he said it, like he was purposefully trying to antagonize her, because if you look at Dee's face, she does not smile much. You know what I'm
At
saying?
all.
I mean,
At
she
all.
smiles around Lydia a couple of times in this episode, which is more than we've actually seen, like a genuine smile. She's trying to bridge that gap between her and her daughter. But at the same time, she can't help but be her. She's very suspicious of the people around her. She's very suspicious and cautious about her surroundings because of the world that they are in. And she realizes, yeah, okay, y'all over here having fun and stuff, but y'all are taking all of this for granted. Y'all are being naive and you're being careless. And that's what, I feel like that's what she's looking at. Like, y'all are just being careless. There needs to be some other things, just like with before they came inside, again, Brooke had turned up the lights on the boat. And Dee is like, this is not safe. She says this later on, but the bartender leaves and he's like, okay, I need to go get some more alcohol. So he goes to the back, and as he goes to the back, she can see his reflection in the mirror, and all of a sudden lights start blinking. And she just starts looking at him like, I didn't think about that the first time I watched the episode. The second time I watched the episode, I was like, oh, the signs are like right there from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, she just kind of looks and she walks outside and she starts looking around. She turns off the lights and she looks over into the woods, and you can see the dead kind of walking. And then all of a sudden, you see them stop and they turn towards the boat. And before I realized what the end of the episode was going to show us, I was just looking at it like, oh, they're about to have some problems with some walkers. Like the walkers see, like, they're signaling the
okay,
walkers.
I missed that.
No.
I missed that.
Oh, I was thinking she was right. That's all. I was like, those are regular people. He was signaling.
And there might have been some regular people in there, but yeah,
because if you watch them, they're walking, and then they turn, like looking at her.
They turn and just stopped. And then Brooke comes out and she's like, Dee, did you turn the lights off? And, she starts reprimanding Dee, like, she said, you're so worried about the bad things that can happen that you're not allowing yourself to have fun. That's not the right kind of environment for Lydia. She she's a child. Kids need normalcy. They need, a semblance of some fun. She's trying to plan a birthday party for Lydia. And Dee is telling her, she said, I'm just worried about the resources. And she's the only kid on here. So even though it looks like she's being a drab, she really is thinking about, okay, look, we can't really be doing all of this stuff, because what happens when the food runs out, or what happens when the electricity runs out, if we run out of gas? We can't be doing all of this. She's in a different world. She needs to understand that we just can't be throwing parties all the time.
Right. She's not going to have a sweet 16 party.
If she make it that far. Right now, Lydia's only 9. So, I see where Dee is coming from. And Brooke, everybody is sitting here talking to her like she is just the worst mother in the world, like all this other stuff. And I was like, if people were talking to me like this, I probably would have became what she is.
Like, at the end of the day, this my baby. I'm the mama.
Right. And girl, that was the funniest thing, because Brooke is sitting here telling her, she's saying this stuff to her, and Dee starts walking towards her, and all of a sudden she holds her arm up and she's got a knife, and it's almost like she's about to stab Brooke. Brooke ducks, and up from the top of the boat, here comes a net with a walker in it, and Dee stabs it in the head. Like I don't know if she had a sixth sense about it.
She anticipated. I thought Brooke was a goner.
I thought so, but then when I thought about it, I was like, I don't think she was planning to kill Brooke at that point. I think she just wanted to make a point. And you got a walker up here. Brooke now has walker blood all over her hair and her dress, and Dee just looks at her and walks off. I was like,
that was that bitch.
Did she take the
Okay.
knife from Dee though? Did she take
She
the knife?
did take the knife from her because I don't think they're supposed to have weapons. You know, they're not supposed to be walking around with weapons except for the people who are on guard duty. Which, if you think about it, if you got a crazy person on the boat, you don't want them to have a weapon.
That's true, but you have to also look at your surroundings. I mean,
but again, they're being very naive. They're being
very
very
much so.
they're being very naive about the fact that they're still living in a zombie apocalypse right now. They
That
think
part.
that they're safe because they're in the middle of the water and they've got people on guard duty and all this other stuff. Well, apparently your guard duty ain't worth shit considering what happens towards the end, towards the middle and the end of the episode. But we'll get there.
That part.
We'll get there. Because I got stuff to say about that. Anyway. So in the middle of all of this stuff, we're still getting her voiceover. And right after this part, she says, right after she stabs the walker in the head, she says, I killed daddy when I was 9. And then it goes into the opening credits. And I was like, what does that have to do with this? Unless you're just telling us that she's already a killer, which we already knew she killed her husband, but we didn't know she had killed somebody before that. So maybe that's what it was. But when it comes back, she's still doing this little voiceover and you see the shadow of Alpha, the person that we already know from the show. But she's in shadow and it's obvious she's talking to someone, but they don't make it clear who she's talking to or when she's talking to. So at first I thought, oh, maybe this was when she met Beta. Maybe she's telling him a little bit of her story. That's what I was thinking. But I was like, I don't know if that will make sense considering she doesn't meet Beta for a little while, after that.
And Lydia was there for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this,
sorry, Michelle.
And
I'm gonna ignore that.
Just looking at her surroundings, it almost looks like she's underground or something. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know. But she's
things hanging.
That's what I thought too. I was like, I couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't know if that was bodies hanging or if maybe she was somewhere where they had like cloths hanging, or I couldn't tell what it was.
Me neither.
But they was good for caves. They always had a cave.
Yeah. You're right. They always found someplace underground and kind of out of the way to, they didn't necessarily go looking for trouble in that sense. But if they just happen to come across it, then whatever. Right. But yeah. So while she's still doing this voiceover, they show her and Lydia in their room. They're sleeping and she hears a splash and she goes to the window. She doesn't see anything. So, she doesn't say anything. The next morning, we get the little exercise montage of Brooke teaching aerobics. Come on, Michelle, get it, girl, get it.
All pep. Like she Jane Fonda. Come on, work it out.
Right. But I was like, it's funny. Us looking at this, like I said, when you're used to seeing what we've seen for the last 10 years in The Walking Dead, something like this seems so silly and stupid, but in a way it's pretty good. She's keeping them in shape. They may not be learning to fight, but they're getting some endurance. If they have to run, they might be able to run, which of course in zombie apocalypse they're gonna have to run at some point. But while she's teaching, one of her employees comes and she's like, hey, can you come with me? We have a problem. So when she leaves and goes in the dining room, they find out that the drunk old man has disappeared. He's missing. They don't know where he is. And like you said, Dee is the janitor on board, or that may be one of her jobs, or she may be one of the janitors, but everybody is pulling their weight. She walks in while they're discussing the man missing, and they ask her if she saw him after last call, and she was like, I saw him at the bar getting drinks. You might want to talk to Billy, that bartender, because she has already told Brooke that she does not trust Billy, right? Mm-hmm. So they go out, they talk to Billy and I forgot what the other lady's name is. They are pulling the net, they're picking the fish, and they're asking him about the guy, and they're like, yeah, he's missing. Should we go look for him? And that's when they have the conversation about, no, we don't have the resources, we don't have the gas, we don't want to run out of gas out here, so we need to go ahead and pull anchor and be on our way so that we can restock. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. That's what Billy is supposed to be doing. And of course, Dee comes around the corner, she gives him that look, and he looks at her like, and then do you see how fast he walks off when she comes around? She has him scared.
Mhm.
She has him scared. So she's in the dining room later, and she's teaching Lydia, table etiquette, or, how to set place settings. And her and Lydia have this conversation because Lydia wants to go to the garden party that Brooke is planning. Brooke is planning the garden party. And as you can see, we all got on our floral stuff today. Completely unintentionally. We just happen to have floral stuff. So she talks about the garden party, and, Dee is kind of like, I don't know about that. And then Lydia, okay, this little girl who's playing Lydia, she had me. If I didn't know how Lydia turned out, I would have said she was going to be a psycho killer too, because the way she was looking at her mama so intently, and then she was like, "You can go," and Dee is like,
"You know what I'm about to say, right?" She need a whooping.
She does not need a whooping. She didn't want to be around her crazy mama. She was like, "You can go," and
she need a whooping.
Herself up off the floor.
Dee was like, she said, "What, baby? You want to go?" She was like, "No, I mean, you can go." She was like, "I can stay here with Brooke." And you can see Alpha's face change. She like, this. I was like,
she needed a whooping, or at least a good. Who you talking to? Just one quick.
But this is somebody who knows her mom. She know her mama ain't right in the head. She know her daddy is missing, and she probably, even at her 9-year-old, very naive self, she probably knows her mama had something to do with that. And then, she's seen her mama do some weird stuff. Mama sitting there teaching her how to set place settings. She steals a knife and puts it in her pocket. She's like, "Shh, this just in case." I was like, "Girl, you better stop talking back to your mama like that." So anyway, after she says that, Dee kind of storms off, and she's upset. She goes into like the boiler room, and she's sitting there on the wall with her eyes closed, and then all of a sudden she feels the reflection of a mirror go across her face, and she's kind of looking around like maybe she imagined it. Then she sees the mirror's reflection. So she goes out onto the boat, and just as so I don't know what he heard. That one little sound you heard, splook. He threw something in the water. So she comes out. She was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "What?" He said, "Did you come out here to help me with the anchor?" She was like, "No, what are you doing? Who's out there? Who are you signaling?" He was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not signaling anybody. You had a mirror." "I don't have a mirror. You dropped it in the water when I came around." She was like, Brooke. She's calling for Brooke. Brooke comes out, and she literally accuses Billy. She was like, "Yeah, he was signaling somebody on the shore. He had a mirror." And he was like, "I didn't have the mirror. You threw it in the water." And so everybody's kind of going back and forth like, okay, well, she's making sense, or maybe he's not making sense, or whatever the case may be. He sees the knife in Dee's pocket, and he makes it seem like she's trying to kill me. She's going to kill me. And he jumps off the boat. I was like, what the hell was this? I was so confused.
Over dramatic. A great way to get out of, oh shit, I'm caught.
Correct.
Hindsight. Because I was like, who else would, like, if you really want to prove that you're not doing anything wrong, you stay there and fight. You don't jump into an alligator infested swamp to prove your point. I was so confused. I was like, what the hell? I was like, so, and then I thought about it. I was like, something about him ain't right. Because she accused him of killing the old guy. And that was when he started getting all panicky and, oh, she has a knife, she's going to kill me. And she's like, that's not what the knife is for. She's trying to tell them this is not what I have this for. But of course, everybody's just looking at the fact that, oh, she has a knife and he just jumped over. And now he's never going to survive this, blah, 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 blah. I was like, you know what? in some ways, what happened, they deserved it. Maybe not all of them. Maybe not all of them. But oh my goodness, there was a lot of, and you know what? I'm not even going to say stupid on this boat. There was a lot of
naivety.
There was. And them just thinking that Dee is just a Debbie Downer, like she just don't want to do what they want to do. She doesn't want to have the fun and all this other stuff. No, she's trying to tell y'all are not playing it safe.
And it's good to have someone like that on your team so you guys can be aware. So when her senses go off, you're like, you know what? Let's kind of investigate it. Right. Not say she crazy.
And then Brooke has to push that button.
Throughout this journey, you have to come across at least one person, and Dee would be that person who makes sense and not just gonna go with the flow of garden parties and yoga on the lounge deck and
right.
You know, this fantasy land that is dead people all around us. Somebody's gonna come try to take what we have. Like they're gonna see us and you signaling with the lights on, letting everybody know where we at.
That part. But again, they've been living in this fantasy land for a year. They've been having these little parties and they've been drinking alcohol and they've been pretending like the world hasn't gone to shit. I mean, you're talking about going shopping. Where? For what?
For another dress. Right. Something you really didn't need.
Right. Because I guarantee you probably the only person at this point who is still dressing up. Or playing dress up or whatever the case may be.
We know most of our people didn't even get showers. So
right.
Running water. Like, yep.
Right. Hunting for their food. So, and then she has to kind of throw salt in the wound for Dee because Dee goes to, she goes to her in Lydia's room to try to talk to Lydia, and Lydia is not there. And, Brooke comes out. She was like, what in the world did you do? Or could a person do to have their little girl scared of their own mama? And of course, Dee is pissed off about this. She's, and from the beginning, she was like, look, don't you talk to me about my daughter. That's my daughter. She was like, I'm the only one who can keep her alive. Not you. You're putting her in danger. She was like, I can protect her. And Brooke is like, for what kind of life? And I tell you, Dee was like, you tell me what my daughter is, or the next time I swing this knife, it's going to be at your throat. And then all of a sudden, you hear screaming. They come upstairs, and Brooke is about to go out, and Dee is like, hold up, let's look. And sure enough, Billy Boy has not only survived his jump into the swamp by having on a wetsuit, he has brought some people onto the boat. They've already killed some of the staff, and they're holding hostages because they want to take the boat. And Billy's whole thing is, some of you who are here, you aren't appreciating what Brooke is doing for you. So you don't deserve to be here. So we're going to take your place, and we're going to protect this. We're going to protect all of this and let Brooke continue to do things the way that she's doing. And the rest of y'all, I was like,
how many slots he said he needed? He needed 6 slots or 7 slots. What do you need? 6.
So
6 must
so while
go.
you got this man bartender, he back there counting y'all rations, seeing if you got to get rid of 6 people. Like y'all can't share. Like we got just enough. And if we do a couple more runs, we're gonna make this last. But you done already determined how many people you need to get rid of. Right,
because even the cabins, he needs to empty out their cabins so his boys can be in those cabins. So he needs 6 people.
Mm-hmm. And
God forbid y'all share a room.
That's what you gotta do on a cruise boat.
Move over.
Right. But he's sitting there like, y'all don't appreciate Brooke and what she does. Y'all don't want to follow the rules. He was like, so you don't deserve to be here. And then he shoots one person. I was just like, you ain't even giving you what? And then there's one guy who is trying to trick him, I guess, with who they have on the boat. He was like, nah, dude, you forget. I know the schedule. I've been here 3 weeks. I know everything. I was like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all messed up.
Why would you let somebody who ain't even been there that long have such a position of outside with the anchor and nobody checking on you and you ain't with nobody? And
well, here's the thing. The one chick was supposed to be with him, but she went upstairs. Remember, she went upstairs to do something else. She was like, I was with him until 2 seconds ago. Well, bitch, you see what kind of damage he did in 2 seconds?
In 2 seconds.
And then he had the nerve to talk about how he got rid of Mr. Langston because he was old, and he was like, and I was thinking Erica was aging out too. She was like, fuck you. This the person who was sitting here defending you, and he talking about, oh yeah, you was about to age out too, so I might get rid of you too. He had no qualms about it. But yeah, so he's sitting there, and I mean, he basically told them, like, he shoots one of the people. He was like, yeah, I bet y'all wishing y'all let D kill me now. I was like, bruh, don't say things you don't mean.
Because
And then he's trying to figure out where she is and where Lydia is. And Brooke has already told her that Lydia was, hiding in one of the lifeboats. So he comes over and he's talking to Brooke. And he's talking about how they can get along. She was like, so what? You've already killed some people and now we're supposed to be all kumbaya on this boat? And he was like, yeah, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep being the peppy person and I'll keep this boat safe. And eventually you'll grow to like me. And then stuff like this won't happen again. And then he shoots somebody else. I was like, at least he's shooting them in the head. But I mean, here's the crazy thing. So Nolan is the guy that she was sleeping with at the beginning of the episode. And apparently this is the one person that Billy really doesn't like. I don't know if it's because Billy might have a thing for Brooke and is pissed that Nolan is with her, but he starts going off on Nolan. Nolan is giving it up. Nah, go ahead and kill this chick right here. She does this. She doesn't like Angela. I was like,
if he ain't the weaseliest of weasels for that, like, damn, I want to live. Take her.
And they're both sitting there fighting each other. He was like, yeah, she's always been jealous of Brooke. And she was like, hold up. So then, of course, he's looking for Dee and Lydia. And, the woman, she's like, hey, we'll help you find them. If we help you find them, just keep us alive. Don't shoot us. Don't kill anybody else. We'll help you find them. And he was like, yeah, no, that's going to be 2 more spaces on the boat. And they're all like, she's just a little girl. Nah, it's okay because Dee heard that part. That's all she needed.
Yes.
She came up there. She sliced the neck of the person who had Brooke's throat. Then she shoots one of the other guys. And then she jumps into the water. She unhooks the dinghy that Lydia is in. She jumps into the water. Everybody else up on the boat is fighting. You still got 4 people with guns and Brooke and her people fighting. When Lydia sees that her mama is on the boat, she's like, I want Brooke. And Dee is like, hold up. She starts going off. She was like, look, they turned on you. They were about to give you up. She said, I'm the only person that can save you. I'm the only person that can protect you. Now shut the fuck up while I get us away from it.
Stay up under this goddamn tarp.
And she starts rowing off. And as she's rowing off, we see people falling off the boat or jumping. And then, she's there in the woods. She's killing walkers now. She's good. I can see why she says she's the only person that can protect her daughter. But what happens is one of the walkers, she stabs it and it falls on top of her. And while it's doing that, Lydia's on the ground. And then one of the guys from the boat is on the land and he's crawling towards her. So, she stabs the walker some more to spill his blood on her. And she was like, Lydia, you get up under here with me right now. You come right now.
My question was
right now.
In that, How did she get the damn walker to splice open like that? Because it's like she had stabbed him, and then all of a sudden she was covered under him, and I'm like,
I think she might have turned the knife and split him a little bit. I'm not sure.
Because it looked like he like his body opened up, became like a blanket.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have much.
Really skinny.
Yeah, he didn't have much skin to begin with.
Right.
So, and at this point, if she's familiar with how to cut somebody open, which again, we don't know how she killed her father. We know how she killed Frank. She split him open. So she probably knows how to efficiently get rid of them. You know, I think the blood thing probably was it was a surprise because you could hear her kind of shriek when it exploded over her. But then I think she realized, okay, this might help us. She's telling Lydia, come on, get up under here, get up under here. And as the guy is crawling, one of the walkers gets to him. So when Lydia sees that, she was like, yeah, okay, you know what? This bitch crazy, but I'm finna go up under here. I'm finna go up under here with my mama.
Scoot over.
Right. So she gets up under there and Alpha starts rubbing her skin with the blood. And at this point, oh baby. Because there's nothing she can do. Traumatized. But and the walker is eating the dude in front of her. And you know, Alpha is closing her eyes. She's telling her, close your eyes, pretend like you're somewhere else, pretend you're somewhere nice. And she tells her, I love you. You're safe with mama. I'm not going to let it get you. I'm not going to let it get you. And that's something she says throughout the whole episode. I won't let it get you. I won't let it get you. So the next shot we see is it's basically all the people who were on the boat. They have crawled up to the shore and or up to the bank. And everybody is dead. Just dead. So you see some of them and you see some of the walkers, and then you see Alpha punching through the walker that's on top of them, and they're walking away. And I'm sitting here looking at these people. I'm like, I don't see Brooke nowhere. I don't see Brooke. So I was wondering about her. I was like, okay, did she die on the boat? Is she in the water? But I mean, like I said, most of the people seem to have gotten away from the boat and onto the bank. So I don't think the boat was that far out. But as they're going through,
I don't think it was either. Because remember, he was close enough where he could signal pin, close enough where the whisperers could see it. So I don't think that they was probably close enough, but far enough to drop anchor.
Yeah. And you know what? If he picked up the anchor, yeah, because I don't think at that point, I don't think they had time to go anywhere yet.
Right.
So that's why they were still there. But anyway, as they're walking through the woods, they come across Brooke, or at least, you know, Alpha sees Brooke. I don't think Lydia has noticed her yet. And the backpack that Lydia has her, you know, her pet bunny and some headphones. So she puts the headphones on Lydia and tells her to be quiet. And she goes up to Brooke. And let me tell you, Brooke lasted a lot longer than I thought she would, because I thought Alpha was going to kill her as soon as she got to her. I really thought she was dead, but you know, and Brooke is sitting there upset. She's upset. And then she has the nerve to blame Dee for what happened on the boat.
And that's what pissed me off. That is what pissed me off.
She saved y'all, or she could have saved y'all if y'all had listened. She tried to tell you Billy wasn't right. But because Billy was all nice and amenable and he was fitting in with everybody, y'all looked at her like she was the weirdo. She was the crazy one. She was the paranoid one. And you ignored her, not thinking about the fact that, oh, maybe she's been like this for a year for a reason. I was like, you got some nerve. Instead of thanking her for at least trying to warn you, you blame her for it because you lost all your nice things. You lost your fairy tale existence within the zombie apocalypse. You know? And he was like, I did what any mother would do. I saved my child. I wasn't concerned about y'all.
None of
At
y'all.
all.
Lydia is the only thing that's important to me. So she gets ready to shoot Brooke, and then here comes Lydia. Okay, this is the part where I'm like, okay, Lydia, you need a whooping because you weren't even supposed to be over there. But she steps in front of Alpha, or excuse me, she's still D at this point. She steps in front of D and the gun. She was like, no, you can't kill her. No, you can't kill her. And Dee pushes her out the way, and she's about to shoot Brooke, and she hears Lydia singing her song. So this is a song that we were introduced when we got Alpha's backstory a little bit, Michelle. There was this lullaby that she used to sing to Lydia all the time. And that was the song that Lydia was singing when Alpha was about to shoot Brooke. So she's sitting there in a fetal position. She's got her hands over her ears, and she's singing the song, and it triggers something in Dee. She's like, okay, you know what? My daughter already thinks I'm a monster. I can't let this be another memory for her. At least at this point, I think this is what she's thinking, because you see the hesitation coming to her face, and you see that she's kind of shaken by what Lydia is doing, you know? So she goes over and she tells Lydia, she was like, I'm not gonna kill her. I'm not gonna kill her. But she tells her, look, just put this on. I'm not gonna kill her. And she walks back over to Brooke. She stands behind her, and I really, really thought she was going to slice her neck open.
So
I really thought that. But no,
only because we know Alpha now. That's why. That's immediately what went to my head. Like, oh, she about that.
But even if we didn't know Alpha then, she looked like she was about to kill her. Like, hold up, you put my child in danger with your fairy tales and your pretend and wanting the world to be okay and wanting it to be normal. This world is not normal anymore.
Right.
And to turn around to blame me. This is all your fault. You're sick. I was trying to help
accountability. Have some accountability in there.
Yeah, so I can.
You trusted everybody you picked up, apparently.
Right. And here's the other thing.
People roles, and you don't think just because the world ended people, and there ain't still bad people in the world. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is garden parties and pretty dresses.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I assumed Dee was gonna kill her too, not knowing how Alpha is. I just assumed Dee was gonna kill her.
Because at this point, I feel like that's what you do. Especially, you just put my daughter in danger because you don't want to listen. But the other thing is, while Alpha was busy calming Lydia, if I was Dee, I would have got up and got the hell on.
Take off running.
Why were you still there? Especially if you think this woman is about to kill you. I mean, I can understand she's probably in shock at that point. She's probably in despair, thinking about all the people who were on her boat who are now dead. She probably felt like, okay, maybe I deserve to die. But no, that self-preservation would have kicked in. I would have took off.
Where's all that exercise? You can outrun Dee. Trust me.
Right.
You're taller and your legs is longer. You could. But that's what get people, not even just in movies and whatever. Y'all start talking to them. Yeah, all that talking, if you're gonna do it, just do it. Because once you start talking.
I say this all the time. With all kinds of movies and all kinds of genres. When they start monologuing, I literally said it when I was watching this. I said, Dee, I need you to stop talking. I said, but you know what? I said, I don't think, I think The Incredibles was around before the world went to shit. Did y'all not listen to Syndrome? Stop monologuing. Stop. I say this every time. I said it watching this. I said it with the Joe and Evie episode once they got down there with the crazy. I was like, y'all stop talking. Stop talking. Cause you're gonna end up dead because you're talking. Look at Joe and Evie. They sitting there talking. What happens? The damn bike got taken. Like they're talking. What happens? They get blown up all the time. Just stop the talking, stop the monologue. But she's sitting there, she's being so almost maternal with Brooke at this point. You know, she's walking behind her, she's rubbing her head and she kisses on the forehead, and she's like, I know, shh, it's okay, I'm not gonna kill you. And she pulls her head back, and I think Brooke at this point was also expecting that Dee was about to kill her. Mm-hmm. But no, girl, she gave her a Joker facial, whatever you want to call it. She slices her face, going across and going down her face, across her lips. And she says, "This is my mark. And everywhere you go, I'll be there reminding you of how you failed my little girl." And she leaves Brooke there in the woods with that sliced up face. She gets Lydia, and they go. And I mean, that
it was dripping.
Oh, it was dripping. And it was, I'm just, and all she can do is just look after Dee and Lydia as they're walking away, because what can you do? So anyway, Dee and Lydia are walking away from all of that. Lydia is still talking about, I want to go to the boat. I want to go back to the boat. What you gonna go back to the boat for? There's probably walkers on that boat. There's probably walkers, because I'm sure not everybody made it to the bank.
I thought that maybe the guys with the guns were still alive. Somebody has to be still alive. 1, 2 of them.
Somebody took the boat.
Yeah, because those other friends wasn't really fighting them off. Someone was jumping off the boat.
Yeah.
And not everybody hit the water and died.
Yeah. But if that's the case, even more reason you don't want to go back to the boat.
Correct.
And she's sitting here, she's talking to her mom about how Brooke did nice things for her and this, that, and the other. Brooke says this and Brooke says that. And your mom was like, her mom was like, Brooke was wrong. And then she was like, we need to go be around people. Daddy says it's safer around people. She was like, look, you got to learn to survive without people. Your daddy was a fool.
He was weak.
Right. People hurt each other. They let each other down. And what did she say? People are chaos, Lydia. And Lydia's like, no, they're not. You are. I'm like, your mama just saved your life. Not once, but twice.
You 9.
And
you
I
can't
was
even
like,
solve your own problems. You think you know the world? Yeah. She need a whooping.
And Alpha's trying to tell her, she was like, look, I know you don't like me, but I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna make sure that you're safe. And then that's when Lydia is like, where's my daddy? And she was like, honey, your daddy was weak. Don't be like him. Don't be like him. Come on, we need to go. And they come across an old RV. And they go inside and they're looking for stuff, and Alpha finds a couple of things, and she's like, okay, I think we can be okay here. And of course she turns around, she looks, and Lydia is outside. Why?
And then mom was trying to be nice. Dee was trying to be nice. She saw that tea set. She was gonna have they're gonna have a little own garden party for her birthday with that tea set in that nasty trailer.
But you know what? That nasty trailer was better than being in the swamp.
Correct.
Sure.
But I'm tired of these kids running off.
You're gonna be out there. These kids need a woman part too.
And part of me was like, because she was like, oh, there's people. Part of me was like, how you don't realize them walkers? But then the other part of me was like, her mom kept shuffling her from place to place. Anytime walkers come around, all she knows that people were chasing them. So when she's standing there and she was like, oh, it's people. And her mom's like, pick your ass up. And she just standing there looking at they at.
Right. And also she's 9. She's probably, she probably is still very sheltered.
Okay, so help me with this, because at this point I was thinking of Carl, and it's been a while since I've seen season 1, 2, and 3. Was Carl like this? I didn't believe Carl was like this.
No. Even in the beginning, Carl wasn't like that. He was skittish of the walkers. He wasn't gonna go around them too much up until they got to the farm, and he was able to observe them being in the barn. But other than that, no. And let me stop. because when they did get to the farm, he did start getting a little more, I won't say careless, but he was dealing with a lot of anger at that point. So yeah, it was a little bit different from Lydia because he was dealing with a lot of anger and a lot of feelings. You know, he at that point he had already been shot, you know. Um, his mom was going through all this stuff, you know, with Shane and with Rick, and then Shane and Rick was having their issues, and Carl was feeling kind of, I guess, in the middle of it.
In the middle.
You know, because this is his dad. He loves his dad, but this is Shane who took care of him and he saved him. And now there's this big conflict. So I think he had a whole bunch of stuff going on. So like the walker that came out of the swamp that killed Dale, you know, he was the one that antagonized it because he was trying to use it as target practice and realize, okay, I can't do that yet because this thing almost got me. And he runs back to the farm and he's scared. Well, that walker got loose and ended up killing Dale. And then that's when everything started going out. So yeah, there were some moments where it was like, yeah, Carl needs a whooping. Because I remember very early on in the series, there were a couple of times when I was like, okay, you know what, Carl just needs to die. He just needs to die. He's causing too much. He's wreaking too much havoc.
Yeah, but I still feel like he was still aware of his surroundings some.
Yes, a lot of times he was mostly acting out of anger or out of emotion.
Just the drama that was going on with his family.
Yeah. But like when they were in the prison, it was a lot different. But I would say probably towards the beginning of the series, I would say him and Lydia were probably around the same age.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
For Lydia, for being on that boat caused harm for that year. It really did.
Because she wasn't because
she didn't get to see them up close and personal, like
she didn't get it.
Like Carl got to see the fight to get, like, from the time they found Rick to, remember, walkers invaded their camp, and like Carl got more hands-on, whereas you saw with well, you haven't seen the backstory, but like her mom literally dragging her everywhere. Come on, I'm pulling you along the way. I'm not showing you anything. I'm just pulling you, trying to keep you safe and keep you away. So in Lydia's mind, I think that's why she was like, there's people. Because to her mom is just, you just stay away from these people. Just stay away from them, stay away. Not saying, explain, these are dead people, and if they get you, they're gonna kill you.
Which is why her little lesson at this point now, you're trying to teach Lydia, okay, you got to learn how to do this, you got to learn how to kill them. You haven't prepared her for that. And that's not something that you can just spring on a child and be like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to kill walkers right now. Here's your knife, you need to kill them. No, that's not going to work, especially for a child who is still, in a way, not prepared for this world. You know what I'm saying? Even thinking about like the world beyond, and I know you haven't seen that, Michelle, but this was also a series where the kids grew up sheltered from pretty much all of the walkers. You know, there was a college campus in Omaha, Nebraska that they were housed in, and they pretty much stayed away from all the walkers. So it's one of those things where it's like you're trying to keep them, you're trying to give them some sense of normalcy, but then if they're ever in a situation where they have to defend themselves, they're not going to be prepared for it at all. And you see that with this, because like you said, Lydia sees them, she's like, oh, it's people. Now, baby, just because they got on clothes don't mean it's people. You know, you got to look at the skeletal faces and the kind of the length, and
he's talking to you.
So on that zombie cruise, they should have been, instead of exercising every morning, maybe once a week, we have some self-defense classes, how to escape a zombie. I mean,
well, that's what the next occupants of the book can do.
And then the other thing too, I think, you know, and this was probably, I would say this was the fault of all of the adults on that boat, because Lydia was the only child. I feel like they should have been more prepared. They should have been more prepared, you know,
and not even just for Lydia, for themselves.
Right.
Like, because it's clear that not everybody was making runs. That's clear. But the ones who are making the runs, of course, they get the experience of when you off the boat, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's prepared for somebody jumping on the boat. Nobody's prepared for the worst that can happen, because y'all all garden parties and we're going to have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
We shopping and drinking and partying and listening to music and all these fantasy things that aren't part of the real damn world.
Talking about going somewhere else and getting married and having a whole bunch of children.
Brooke wasn't going for that anyway. That's why she was like, get your ass dressed.
He was just, I don't think Brooke was all into him like he was into her.
At all.
She was, I think she was probably just looking like, because I mean, if you look at the options on the boat, there weren't many
at all.
So,
and I don't think he really.
He's trying to get everybody. Kill her.
Right.
Kill her.
And I'm not quite sure if he was really into Brooke. He was just like, this is the status quo here.
Yeah,
he may turn on her too at the end. Take her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after this failed training experiment with Alpha and Lydia, because Lydia is like, I'm not killing these people. No. Hi, Patfoot. My cat decided to join the podcast. They're on the run again. They go into some woods. Well, actually, what happens is Dee is killing the walkers because Lydia won't do it. And while Dee is distracted, Lydia takes off. She does what Brooke should have done. She takes off.
Got the hell on.
She's running through the woods, and Dee is trying to find her. She's whispering, and then she starts panicking. She starts yelling for her. And then, like I said, you see that she really does love her child in this, episode. And then Lydia calls her and she was like, hey, I'm here. And when Dee finds her, she fusses at her for running off. And Lydia says, they're here. She was like, the fairies, they're here. They want me. And this is something that, calls back to the beginning of the episode. She was talking to her mom about how she likes fairies. And her mom was like, you like fairies? Like, that's such
ain't real.
Right. They're not real. That's such a stupid thing to do. But she's sitting there like, Mama, the fairies are talking to me from the trees. They want me. They want me. And she was like, it's okay. You can let me go. She basically, I feel like Lydia was at this point telling her mama, I don't want to be here. And she says that I don't want to do this. You can go without me. I'll be okay. I don't want to be here. And so Alpha sits here and she starts thinking about it. She cradles her daughter. She's like, I keep forgetting how little 9 is. She was like, I've been so selfish. I've been so scared of this world without you that I never thought about you in this world and how it would affect you. And she's telling her she's sorry, and she's telling her how much she loves her, and she's rocking her. And Lydia she's starting to drift off. And you realize at this point, because Dee starts crying and she continuously is telling her how much she loves her, you realize at this point, she's about to sacrifice her daughter. And I won't even say sacrifice. She's about to kill her, because she feels like at this point, and you hear this in the voiceover, she was like, Lydia was so small. And I started thinking, what kind of life is this for a child? And
she's not going to survive.
Crazy. I thought she thought, like, my daughter is losing it because she hear fairies and shit. So, okay, she done really snapped. I'm going to have to put her out of her misery. That was my thought.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like, oh, you hear voices? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got to put you down because you ain't going to make it, bro.
She's saying that. She was like, yeah, you're so tired. She was like, close your eyes. She's telling her, hold her bunny. And Lydia's just kind of sitting there. And then you see her again. Dee is crying. She knows what she has to do, or at least what she feels like she has to do. And you see her struggle with it. She's really fighting this. Like, I don't want to have to do this. But she's like, okay, I think this is what I need to do for my daughter. And she reaches for her knife. And she is ready to kill her daughter. And then the whispers start. And at first I was like,
the fairies.
And at first, I was so confused because I didn't realize this was going into the Whisperer story in that sense. But she's telling Lydia, she was like, "I'm sorry, baby." She said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't save you." And as she's getting ready to kill her, she hears, "We see you, we see you. Spare her, spare her. We see you." And she starts looking around like, "What the hell?" And then that's when Lydia's like, "See the trees, they're talking." And I was sitting there looking like, and then I said, "Oh, wait." And then she stands up, she's like, "Who's there?" And then you see all the whispers, "Stop her, stop her." And they're coming through. And I was like, and then you see them stop. They're like, "We're here, we're here." She's like, "Who are you? What do you want?" And the leader, I guess, she says, "I'm Hera." And she takes her mask off, and she tells her, "Don't speak, whisper."
Don't talk, whisper.
And then they knock her out.
I said, "What kind of ponytail is that?"
But that was her whisperer mask. But then she says, then when we come back, you hear Alpha saying, "I was keeping myself from my nature," but that was the end of Dee. And then it comes back and she's like, "In the beginning of me." So you see her, okay, yeah, I'm looking at it now. So it looks like, okay, so in the main show, when we see the Whisperers having their camps, what they've done a lot of times is when they've hunted and they've caught big game, they actually strip it just like butchers do, and they hang up the carcasses. So that's what it looks like in the background.
And that's what I saw at the end.
Yeah.
You can see hanging meat.
And Alpha's coming, and she's got it looks like fresh, she's got fresh blood on her face. She's got cuts and everything. So she was talking about, she was like, "And then you came and you showed me love." And then you see the whisperer mask on what you call the wig head. And I was like, that's where she got her whisperer mask from. She took it from Hera. And I was like, oh.
And I got that. I did pick that up. I was like, oh, damn.
I was like,
because my thought is she killed Hera, right? Because Hera was on her goddamn knees.
I think she did.
Okay,
I was like, man, she took over the leader and became Alpha.
Yeah,
that part.
Okay,
she became the Alpha.
Okay. And then she became who we know. And Michelle, like I said, when you get to that point, we'll have another discussion. But yeah. So this is Alpha's
okay, that makes
story.
That was a good one. That one I really, really liked. Even though we know how it subsequently ends, but we never knew the story from after they got it out of that basement up until she showed up in our show.
Right. And it also makes sense too, because when she meets Beta and she has him make the mask, it's like, we're sitting there thinking like, how do you know how to do that? Like, what made you decide to do that? So at this point, she had probably already been with the Whisperers or had seen the Whisperers. Maybe she had left them at some point and then came back, because remember, her and Lydia were on the run, or they were hiding from something at that point. So, but
no, because we're gonna have to figure that out.
We're gonna have to go back and rewatch that episode.
Once we can talk about it with Michelle, because I can't see her, because like when she met Beta, she still had hair. So there had to be a period in between time from the time she met Hera and killed Hera off, that her and Lydia would have then had to leave, go to another place to make more get a new horde, and that's where they picked up Beta.
Or you know what I'm thinking? Okay, so going back to that episode, you're right. She did still have hair. So it was probably maybe right after that. So maybe when she first met Hera in that group, maybe she didn't fall in with them at first because of Lydia. Lydia would have been scared. If you think about it, even in even in the main show, when we meet the Whisperers, she talks about how they don't never force anybody to follow their ways. They don't.
Right.
So maybe she met Hera, decided that wasn't for her, was still on the run, and then of course that's when she meets Beta, because they're running from walkers. They come across Beta,
But at
and
some point, she would have had to have gone back.
but that's what I'm saying. Maybe once she met Beta and she, she had him make his own mask, at that point, if she had known Hera for a while, she would have known that's what they did. So maybe at that point, she thought about, okay, you know what? Now with this person behind me, maybe I can go back and maybe I can take control. Because I mean, even with the way the Whisperers were back then, maybe she didn't like the way that they were, because, even though, yes, they told her to spare Lydia and save Lydia, we know Alpha won about that life.
Right.
She's very much, if you can't be, we are the walkers and they are us. She's very much like, if you can't acclimate to this lifestyle, you gone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was, and they, now at this point, they got to give us something else, because we need some more. But yeah, so maybe that's what it was. Maybe she met them, saw the way that they were living, and thought, okay, you know what? I can't. Now that I think about it.
You're not the only ones having these questions, because after the episode on Sunday, not me, but after the episode on Sunday, things have been popping up like the same questions you're asking, like how we're missing sections here.
Yeah.
So people are trying to figure it out, because every time I go to YouTube, and I'm trying to skip over those things, but most of the videos are about the questions you are at.
But I just thought of something.
Trying to answer.
I think she left the Whisperers, like she didn't join them because Lydia wasn't comfortable. But if you think about it, Casey, in that episode where they met Beta, remember Lydia had to kill walkers to get out of that. She was stuck. She was stuck in that room, and the walkers were getting to her, and she had to kill those walkers in order to get out. So maybe once Dee saw that Lydia was able to handle herself now, she was able to go back. Because I don't think at this point, she's still enough of a mother, and she still has enough of her humanity that what her daughter was going through affected her to the point where she was about to kill her daughter to make sure that she didn't have to live in this miserable world.
Right.
Maybe once she spared her, she was like, okay, you know what? I'll just have to keep doing what I'm doing, keep protecting her. Then once Lydia finally had to kill to comfort, now I'm thinking about, I think that's it. I got to go back and rewatch that episode. But if you think about the way she looked at Lydia, when Lydia emerged from that room, she had all the walker blood on her because she had killed those walkers so that she could get back to her mama. I think that was probably the turning point for her. That probably made her decide, okay, you know what? I can go back and be with this group now. And then maybe, like I said, maybe something was going on that she felt like, oh, you're not handling this right. I've already been there, done that. I'm not about to do this again. So let me go on ahead and take this leadership role so we can do this the right way. Yeah, I really think that's probably what it was.
That could be,
I think so.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that.
That I can see and that I can understand.
So, okay. But yeah. Dee, rest in peace, Dee. Happy birthday, Alpha. But yeah, now that I think about that makes sense to me. Okay. And she probably went back, especially if she still had her hair, or, if she was still looking like a human version of herself. Like she hadn't yet stripped all of her humanity.
Correct. Okay. That makes sense, because you do have to think that somewhere in there she left for us to know that she met Beta during this time.
Right.
That's when they were still backpacking it, still running, still you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then that would make you think, well, I guess that's true. Because if she met Hera and they're of course wearing the Whisper mask or whatever, she would know how to get around and get through. But I guess you're right. If she's still waiting on Lydia to figure it out, Lydia wasn't going for that.
But maybe not even that. They probably wouldn't have even had to have been with them for so long. Just the fact that if you think about her finding the Whisperers at the end, and then if she's thinking back to who she saw at the beginning when she thought she saw the dead walking and they stopped and they turned and looked at the boat, that was probably those same people. You know what I'm saying? It could have been the same people who were just watching, trying to make sure, like, okay, these people not gonna come and mess up what we have going.
Right.
Like the Whisperers they have a particular way that they live their life. They have a system. They have rules that they follow. And maybe they was just trying to see, okay, this strange boat, are they coming on shore? Are they about to bother us? Are we about to kill them? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So that could have been it too. You know, and she probably just kind of observed the things that they did, and she was like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if this is right for me and my daughter right now. If those Whisperers are still, if they still have their humanity, which they probably would have had to, I feel like, if they, you know, convinced her to keep Lydia alive. Because if they were the kind of Whisperers that we know, they would probably look at Lydia, especially a 9-year-old Lydia, as a hazard. You know, that's just what
we know and children.
Right. So yeah, I'm now that I talk it out a little bit more, I kind of feel like that's probably what happened. So I don't know. We may have to get some listener feedback and see what everybody else thinks. Because like I said, it's been a while since I've seen that episode, so I do need to go back and rewatch it. But that really has me curious now. Like, okay, so where was Alpha in the midst of the Whisperers when she met Beta? Like, was she running from them and then decided to go back? Like, because they were obviously running from something, so maybe they were running from the Whisperers, and then she decided, oh, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop running. I'm gonna go run this shit. So,
now that she got her big bad Beta, I'm the Alpha, he's the Beta.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, Michelle, I can't wait till you get to that part.
Yes, I can't wait either.
And
especially since you said she's quite different.
She's very different. She's very different.
You're gonna be like, what the? This ain't the D.
Oh yeah, no, she said at the end of this episode, D is dead. She said it. D is dead. So I really did like this episode. I liked seeing a vulnerable side to Alpha, because that is very different from what we see of her in seasons 9 and 10. It's very different. And it's weird too, because it'll be a different experience for Michelle because she's not familiar with Alpha yet. Right. So she'll be seeing her go from
this little piece of her. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she's gonna look at it from her changing from a loving mother who is trying to do whatever she can to save her child to who she becomes, which she's still trying to, she's still doing whatever she has to do to protect her child. She just does it in such a different way. Like, really, she is stripped of her humanity at the point where we meet her. So it's interesting watching her go from that and then like travel backwards to see where she started and kind of what set her on this path.
And then I see her from the start. And then I get to see that change.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's fun because we get to see it from different perspectives. And it probably will influence, like the way that you look at her when you start seeing the Whisperers show up, it might change the way that you look at them, as opposed to us when we first are introduced to the Whisperers. it's literally them chasing down some of our people and killing some folks. So we meet them and we like, no, they got to die. You might get into the episodes and be like, oh no, but I see their point of view.
Yeah,
you know,
they're in the right.
Right. So
y'all shouldn't have been messing with them.
you know, so that'll be an interesting discussion once you get to that point to see just how different your viewpoint of the Whisperers is from ours, since we're coming from two different directions on it.
I will let you know.
That will be fun. Yeah, we need to do that. Next week's episode looks very interesting. Very interesting. Because you have Anthony Edwards, who is this scientist, and basically he's on an island where there's no humans. He's the only one there. He's studying the way that these walkers, their patterns. And we've seen something similar to that in Walking Dead World Beyond, where they're studying like the migratory patterns of the walkers, like to see if there's anything still there, human, or to see if, if there's I guess a method to the madness. Like, are there things that trigger the way that they behave towards certain things? Are there things that make them, what makes them decide to go right as opposed to left? What makes them decide to stay in this area instead of going out there? So he's on this island all by himself, and then all of a sudden this couple of people show up and they're talking about, oh yeah, well, we're trying to repopulate the island, we're looking for a safe space. And he's like, no, y'all messing with my experiments. This is going to be interesting. I don't know if you saw the clip of it that they played on the Talking Dead preview special. I saw that clip and I was like, oh, this is going to be a really interesting episode. Because he really is like, no, those are my walkers. You gotta leave them alone. But he's not doing it in a crazy way. Like, he's really just sitting there. He just wants to study them. He just wants to see how they react, and it's gonna be real interesting.
Because in that trailer, didn't one kind of give away? He was like, "You gotta save my walker. You gotta save."
Yes, I saw that.
Yes. So I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. I love the way that they are telling different stories in this anthology. It's like nothing that we've seen from the TWD universe before. Everything is so different. There are fresh takes on things. And it's just, I love it. I know there are a lot of people who are complaining. I am loving it because it's so different. It's like, when you watch something for 10 years, at some point, you kind of know what to expect from certain things. And I will say this, even in the last few seasons, they have changed things up a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't feel like it's predictable because there are some things that happen. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
But for the most part, you already know what you're dealing with because you've been dealing with the same world for 10 years. True. Now we're dealing with different viewpoints of the way the world ended and how these people choose to move on. And it's been so interesting. We saw some doomsday preppers and how they prepared and how they were dealing with it. We see some people right at the beginning when they have no idea what's going on. And, they're still living their regular lives, going to work in the midst of all this, and then dealing with some weird mental health thing in the midst of it. And then we see like an almost origin story for someone that we're very familiar with in the show, but you get to see her from a totally different light. I'm loving these episodes. And then, the next week's episode, you see somebody who was already kind of isolated from humanity because he's doing his own thing on an island. These things, I don't know if he was on the island by himself with other people. I think what it was, he was on the island. I think I remember him talking about it in the special. I think he was on the island with a group of scientists, and somehow he's the only one left now. So I don't know if
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know if if people started getting sick and dying, or if that's the case. But I have a feeling these walkers, you're talking about, you got to save my walker. I don't think they're just test subjects to him. These are probably also his colleagues, people that he
Right,
was
people he
friends
know.
with, people that he cared about. So that's going to be interesting seeing it from that perspective too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We need to look at the ones who have been complaining about this show. If this past episode, these episode,
Mhm.
will they complain about this episode? Because this episode is a little bit more like the
Mhm.
original
Mhm.
than the others. So
Yeah.
it'll just be interesting to see the complainers how they feel
Right.
about this
How
episode.
they really, yeah.
Mhm. If they really like this episode and this is the greatest in the world, they don't like anything different from
Right.
the original. They
Right.
can't see
Beyond that.
any other perspective, because even in real life, everyone's perspectives are different. We're gonna have some people who are gonna make jokes all the time about their situation,
Mhm.
get into weird situations, where you're gonna have other people get into dangerous situations depending on where they live.
Mhm.
Right.
And it's a true drama.
Yeah.
So it's life.
Yeah.
It is. But yeah, I'm ready for the next episode. I am.
Me too.
And who knows? Maybe look, this was episode 3. So we have 3 more episodes left. So we've got the one that's coming up next week. I don't know what the other 2 episodes are, but I told you, I heard that there was a musical episode. And then I heard that there was an episode that supposedly takes place 30 years in the future. So maybe the musical episode will be episode 5. And then the other one will be episode 6. I don't know if I want to believe that there's an episode that's 30 years in the future, because I feel like that would, I don't know how I would feel about that. Like, because then that means that, well, I don't know. There would be a lot of story to tell for something like that.
Right.
Like, would you do is the world normal again, or are we still dealing with a zombie apocalypse and people are maybe just better at it, or I don't know.
Because at this point, 30 years later, the walkers should be struggling. I mean,
because at that point, everybody know how to kill them. Everybody know once you turn, you're gonna turn into something. That would be like Michelle ain't seen World Beyond, but remember when Iris was seeing the therapist lady, and she would talk to her, but she was locked in her house.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people would have to live. So if something did happen in the night, you wouldn't be able to get out to affect everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So technically, Omaha was the perfect world where they had all these safeguards in place.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then
also the walkers wouldn't be walking around; they'll be crawlers.
I don't. You know what?
But no,
because that 11C trailer, you got walkers climbing up the fence.
That part.
And opening doorknobs.
And then remember how World Beyond ended and where Daryl is going. So there's an evolvement happening.
But for 30 years later, I'm sorry, that skin is not gonna hold up.
Why is she holding a toothbrush?
I have no idea. It was sitting right here and I'm holding it up. I mean, 30 years. I mean, you can't. And if their skin is just still looking halfway decent, I need to get that face cream. But 30 years later.
Well, hold on, because on Fear, somebody embalming them.
Oh, so you've gotten to that part of Fear. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, never mind.
Yeah, so I can't wait till y'all get.
They literally doing everything in these shows. You hear me? They're doing everything.
Yes.
They're trying everything. Come on.
I can't wait till y'all get done and get caught up, so we can just have like a episode where we're just talking about. Okay, so let's just talk now that everybody's on the same page, and we just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
which this has made me really excited that I'm ready to watch The Whisperers. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch a few episodes this weekend.
And see, you got to get caught up now because Dragon Con is next week. We have all these people from the Walking Dead universe coming to Dragon Con. So you have to kind of get caught up now because we've got look, let me pull out my list because I can't even remember at this point. It's so many people coming. I know Lenny James is coming and Denai Garcia from Fear the Walking Dead. Unfortunately, Garrett Dillahunt had to cancel, so he won't be.
Did he?
He did a few days ago.
Did you cry?
I tried not to. I almost did because I was like, no, I really wanted to meet him, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
But let's see. We have Brianna Vinskus, we have Chandler Riggs, Caitlin Nacon, Lori Holden, Lauren Ritloff, Chad Coleman. I want to say I think somebody else may have gotten added. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they have Fear the Walking Dead panels. They have the Walking Dead panels. So yes, you have to get caught up by next weekend. We still don't know what Casey's doing because we don't even know if she's gonna be in town next weekend.
I'm not.
Oh. You know what? Since it's for work,
I'll be there 2 days later.
You know what? That ain't. So what we'll do is 2 days later when we talk about whatever I think at that point it would be episode 5 that we're seeing. We'll talk about episode 5. We'll just sit on the call and just brag about Dragon Con and make you feel. No, I'm just joking. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. But we will talk.
Only person I'm gonna feel jealous about is Lenny James. So if you get a photo op with him, I'm gonna be jealous.
If I don't get a photo op with anybody else at Dragon Con this year, it's gonna be Lenny James. And the way that it's looking right now, that might be the only one because my bills keep kicking my ass. Like, you ever like sit here and you plan? You're like, oh yeah, I'm saving up for this and I got this, and then everything out the wazoo starts coming up like, oh yeah, by the way, you need to take care of this and you need to take care of this, and oh yeah, this came up, and oh yeah, this
I'm hating, just so you know.
Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. If I get to meet him, I might see if I can video call you and be like, hey, Casey, Morgan says hi.
Cry.
But yeah, any final thoughts about B/Alpha to B?
I do hope that if Tales continues into another season, that they have an Alpha or D part 2.
Oh yeah,
so we can get some
or pre-Alpha. I want to know what happened to Brooke. Like, is she still walking around with that scarred face looking for D?
That'll be a good one.
Or even Hera. Because how did she start?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Hera gone. So if they do another Alpha,
how the Whisperers began.
That would be a good one.
That would be a good one
in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because who was the one who said, "What do we wear their face"? Who was that?
Right. Like, who thought that was gonna be a good idea?
That part.
Like, yeah, we're just gonna take his skin off. Well, I mean, there are people who do that in real culture, so maybe that's where they got the inspiration. But
that would be a good story. Just to see.
Yeah, you're right. It would be. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's get a season 2 and get some more of these stories in. And let's see, Michelle, you're going to get caught up on The Walking Dead. Casey, you're going to finish getting caught up on Fear. We're going to talk about Dragon Con next week, and then we're going to actually be at Dragon Con, and so we'll be talking about that. And then we have the camp coming up in October. All 3 of us will be at that.
Yes.
So, yep, still got Walking Dead stuff going on. Oh, also, people, they released a new promo for 11C. There is a new Walking Dead promo for the final 8 episodes. I watched it today and I was like, y'all can't keep doing this because we still have like 6 weeks that we have to wait. And y'all are making me like, I feel like a junkie. Like, I need it. Give it to that promo looks good though. So we see a lot of the same scenes repeating from the Comic-Con trailer. But there's also some new things in this one. So I was like, okay. So we got a promo today, and then we got information about Isle of the Dead, which is no longer Isle of the Dead. It is now The Walking Dead Dead City. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm going to try not to be too judgeful about the title because a lot of people are not liking the title. They're like, oh, that sounds boring. I'm like, maybe the story evolved.
It don't even matter what they call it. We gonna tune in.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. At this point, y'all can just call it Maggie and Negan and I'll watch it. So it don't matter. It don't matter.
Call it the Maggie and Negan show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's watch.
Right. Well, I'm excited that we have 6 weeks because I can get caught up.
Yes.
So you can't wait, but I'm like, oh, good. That gives me some time.
We both have 6 weeks to get caught up.
We got 6 weeks to get it done.
Okay, so I need y'all to get it done.
But I should be done before 6 weeks because I'm in episode. What season I'm in? I'm in season 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
because you're probably. I think you're probably close to the halfway point or past the halfway point.
I'm past it. I think I'm on like episode 7 or 8.
Okay, so that's the halfway point. Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's 16 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So okay.
So I'm almost there.
All right, and then you'll be able to watch Dead in the Water too. I'm
watching that after this, because you said after this season. So after I'm done with this season, I'm gonna watch it, and then I'll continue on to chapter 7, season 7.
Okay. All right. Well, that's I guess that's going to be it for this show because I think we said everything we need to say. So we'll wrap it up now. That's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have a Discord channel now, so you can come chat with us on Discord at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel and listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.